so far in this Building a Nation save with Helsingborg in Sweden. We have managed to finish second place in the Swedish Premier Division twice in a row. In our first season after getting promoted, we qualified for the Europa Conference League. Last season, we also qualified for the Europa Conference League on exactly the same points, which means this season, I want to be going one better. I want to be aiming to win the league. I think we should be good enough to do that. Already on the 1st of February, some transfer business has taken place, although it is all leaving the club at the moment. Adam Hellborg has left on a free transfer. I wasn't sure whether this was a good idea, but we've gone for it. He's moved over to Östersund after his contract expired. Amar Musin has also left the club, a player who in Season 1 scored a ridiculous amount of goals. Last season scored 3. We have basically decided to let his contract expire. He's gone back to his native Iraq, signing for Al Zahra. And Benjamin Aqua, another player who I wasn't sure whether this was a good idea because he's still young and reasonably good. He has left on a free transfer. He's gone back to his native Ghana, signing for Beckham United. We've also sold Sumar Almajed, could be his name, to Al Zawara as well. He's gone on, I believe, a free transfer. It is a free transfer, but his contract didn't expire. We just basically got rid of him. Because over the last 2 seasons, we have done quite well financially. We have got a decent, very decent transfer budget, £3.2 million. Our wage budget isn't particularly big, so we might need to do a little bit of adjusting to try and move some numbers around. We can go up to £125,000 a week. That is nearly tripling. It's doubling. It's over doubling our wage budget currently. So there's a lot of wiggle room that we can do this season to maybe bring in some decent free transfers, things like that. Speaking of this season, we're in 3 competitions. We're in the Swedish Cup, the second part of the Swedish Cup. We are in the Swedish Premier Division, obviously, and we are in the Europa Conference League, although this is last season's Europa Conference League. The Europa Conference League will kick in around June, July time, I believe. Speaking of the Swedish Cup as well, I keep forgetting this happens, but the Swedish Cup will take place between now and the next clip, so we need to get past the group stage, and then I believe it's quarterfinal, semi-final, and final. I don't think we're going to be winning this, but I feel like we should be in a decent enough position to be able to win it at some point. Well, on the 31st of March, we have not won the Swedish Cup. In fact, the final has not taken place. We didn't even get out of the group stage. We finished second place because literally the moment you lose one game, you are out of the groups. There is no one ever getting through the groups if they have lost a match. Unless everyone in the group loses just one match, you're not getting out of this group. So with our start of the season transfer window closed, we have done probably one of our more expensive transfer signings that we've done. In fact, I think it is our most expensive, and he's cost £250,000. We have also signed Isak Andre Sigurd-Bjornsson, who is an Icelandic under-21 international. He got released from Breidablik. He was on my scouting report as a really good player to bring in, so I went, you know what, you're 19, let's bring you in. We've already loaned him straight out. We have gone over to Jamaica, which, by the way, Jamaica is a weird nation in Football Manager. They have lots of decent young players, but they're not going to be amazing. But if you're a team like a Helsingborg and you can sign Jamaicans, they've got maybe 130, 140 potential that they might get some game time for you. Go for it. Kyle Ming is one of the 2 Jamaicans that we have signed over the winter break. 27-year-old international, cost £4,000. £4,000 for a potential starting centre-back, 3.5-star current ability for a 27-year-old. You can't go wrong. And for £18,000, we've also signed fellow Jamaican from Cavalier, Richard King. He has 14 caps to his name. Apparently, he's not as good, but he has cost more money. But I think he's just as good. We are basically trying to bolster our defence. This is what I feel like we are struggling with at the moment. Up front, I think we're fine. Attacking midfield, I think we're fine. In goal, I think we're fine. Defence is where I feel like we're not as good as we perhaps could be. So that is where we're trying to basically focus our efforts on throughout these transfer windows. So Richard King is the next one through the door. And keeping in mind, we are signing lots of defenders. Fredrik Nissen, next up, 21 years of age, under 19 international for Sweden, formerly of AC Milan. I'm assuming there was a transfer fee that took place, but he went over to AC Milan, played twice, hasn't played since, and we picked him up for £45,000. He was out of contract at the end of the season, but it's the end of the normal European season, the AC Milan season, which obviously we're not running on that calendar, so we had to pay a bit of money to get him in now, but I thought it made more sense rather than having to wait until July to bring him in. And the final signing has cost £250,000, and it does kind of go against what we do when it comes to building a nation, and that is don't weaken sides around you. But right now, I want to make us the best team in Sweden, and then we will strengthen them. There's no point in me kind of struggling on finishing in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th place in the league if everyone else around me's better. That doesn't help me build the nation. That just means they're doing it for me. Kevin Ackerman is a utility player, that's a word, versatile. Central midfielder, attacking midfielder, maybe even a centre-back if we really want him to be. I think this is a good bit of business. Sensible money to spend. And that is all that we have done. You can see there we have loaned out literally anyone and everyone to various teams all around Sweden. I will show you now. One of the best features about FM24, 23, 22, I'm assuming 25, 26, 7, 8 and so on, is the development list. I don't think too many people use it that much, but the development list, you can basically just say, this is what I want, and just set and forget. So what I've got for the senior, reserve and under 19s, I don't care what wages they play, I just want them to be first team players and go to Sweden. That is it. That is all I really want them to do. I have said first division, or but like, yeah, first division's fine. That's fine. I'm okay with that. I don't want them playing in the third tier. That's fine. And basically, that's all I've done. So the reserves, regular starters, I don't care. Don't pay me wages. Just go play a regular starter in a Swedish side. Same with the under 19s. And this has basically helped me, if we go here very quickly, has made me loan out all of these players. And I've literally had to do nothing. Just the loan manager has basically gone, yeah, that's a good deal. Off he goes. And they go off and get some football. And an example of a player who did that last season and has come back to be very, very good is Amish Pineda, 19 years of age, at Swedish-Spanish right winger, who we signed last season. He went out on loan to Norrköping's Södra, which I believe is their youth team, possibly? Not quite sure, but yeah, he went out on loan, dropped down a couple of divisions, played 20 times, has come back a much better footballer, so much so that big teams, the big boys want him. Bayern and Porto were actively making transfer bids for him that I've been rejecting at the moment. It's only a matter of time before Pineda leaves, but right now he is still at the club. So then, we will be beginning the Swedish Premier Division very, very soon. We're not going to do any more transfer business because the transfer window has closed. Financially, we've got 2.9 million to spend. We are well over our wage budget, so we are going to do a little bit of an adjustment there just to make sure that the board are happy that we are sticking within our wage budget. From a starting lineup perspective, we are locking in Terentius, but I don't think we need to do it because he's clearly our best striker. I'm hoping for a much better season this time around. He wasn't bad last year, but most of his goals came in Europe. He only got 4 in 16 league games. I'm hoping for a better performance this season. And much like Pineda, Terentius is wanted by Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United, and BK Häcken. One of those is not like the other. Right then, let's jump forward to about mid-season where the European transfer window will also open. So this is where we need to be careful of possibly losing some of those big name players. On the 9th of July, some transfer business has already taken place because we have come back when our transfer window opens, not when European transfer windows open. So some players have already left. Kyle Gordon is one of them. Basically, he was filled with injuries. I don't think I ever mentioned this, but he was constantly injured, like over and over and over again. So I was like, you know what? I've had enough of you. We've sold him to St Mirren. We've got £350,000 for him. So that is a good bit of money. Yes, there's an intermediary fee in there, but £350,000 is more than we've spent on a single player. We've also sold Daniel Ndí to Patro Eisden, might be their name, over in Belgium for £24,000. We just weren't playing him anymore. In fact, we were playing him. I don't want to be playing him anymore. And as you can see from the list right here, we haven't done any more business at the moment coming into the club. Competition-wise, we are currently sat 6th place in the table. It's not great, but it's fine, I guess is the best way of putting it. We are still up there. We're only 6 points off the top of the table, but they do have a game in hand. As long as we're kind of in 4th or above, I was hoping to win the league. I was hoping to win the league this season. I don't think it's going to happen. We are predicted to finish 11th. Why are we always predicted to finish so far down the table? In the Europa Conference League, we will be going into the second qualifying round, and I believe we already know who we're going to be playing. Yes, we do. It is FCSB from Romania, the other nation that I tried to build in FM24 earlier on this year. That's not going to be easy. That is not going to be an easy match to play. I'm hoping we can get into the Europa Conference League group stages. But in order to get there, we are in the second qualifying round, which is there. So we have to play FCSB. We then have to play another side and another side. And then we get into the Europa Conference League, actual league. It is going to be tough. So as is a transfer window, obviously we can decide to bring in some new faces, and I'm pretty sure we will. We've got £1 million to spend because I have moved things about into our wage budget to basically give us a little bit of wiggle room, and by a little bit, a huge amount of wiggle room, nearly £30,000 left to spend in our wage budget, so we are definitely going to be on the hunt for some good players. We're not necessarily going to get free transfers this time around. I'm going to see what we can find, but yeah, let's jump forward to the end of this transfer window to see if we have managed to strengthen our side again. I'm going to guess we're going to buy centre-backs. Before we talk about the centre-backs that I've signed, we are going to just take a look at the league, and it's not looking good, is it? We've dropped down to 8th place with 8 defeats. 8 defeats. And when you look at how we are losing, 4-3, 3-2, 3-1, 5-1, 6-3, 3-2, 4-1 and a 2-1, we are scoring goals, but we are leaking goals. This is why I want to strengthen the defence. And this is why we have signed Jorge, or George, I'm going to call him George, Osorio, the 18-year-old Colombian from Alianza Llanos, who I think, I'm not even sure how I found it. Oh no, he came through one of the random scouts, because we have scouts in South America, but not Argentina or Brazil, and they went, have a look at this guy, and I went, okay, cool, and he was on a free transfer, so we have brought him in. I'm not convinced he's going to be starting, but there is potential there, and he is only 18 years of age. Another player to join the club, another defender, is Frank Odhiambo, might be his name, 23-year-old Kenyan international. So we've got Wanyama and now Frank as well, both in the Kenyan national side. He's come in from fellow Swedish team Djurgårdens. Again, we are not trying to build the nation just yet. We need to build us to a point where we're regularly in the Champions League and things like that. Then we can look to strengthen other teams so they can perform in Europe. There's no point in us not performing in Europe if everyone else is. We need to be doing well in Europe too. So he's cost us £50,000 from Djurgårdens. Again, much like Osorio, I'm not convinced he's going to be playing week in, week out. He's just more depth. But the one who will be playing week in, week out is once again a player that we signed from a fellow Swedish side, from Kalmar FF. It is Johan Mattsson, 19 years of age, New Den, and he looks ridiculous, and he has only cost £400,000. He has moved up a league as well to join us, which kind of makes me feel a little bit better, but mentally, this boy, he is on point. Physically, he is on point as well. Technically, he's very good, apart from he can't tackle or mark. And by technically, he's very good. He can header. And part of that, I imagine, is because he is 6'4", but Mattsson is in the club. There is one big piece of transfer news, though, that I haven't mentioned. And that is Torrentes has left the club. He has signed for PSG for £5.25 million with no sell-on, but he has been loaned back until the end of the season. And that is pretty much it. There has been some other loan deals going on, so a few more players have gone out using the old development list. We've also got rid of this man on loan to Newcastle Jets. Ryan Johnson's gone to Adelaide United as well. We're also in the Europa Conference League group stage. We have managed to make it in there, and I'm not quite sure how we did it, because we almost fell at the first hurdle against FCSB, losing 5-3 away from home, but we turned it around at home, winning 4-1, then beating HB from the Faroe Islands, then beating Lokomotiv Plovdiv from Bulgaria. It means we've got 6 matches to play, and I feel like I just have a sense that we should be able to win most of these. AZ Alkmaar, I believe, is going to be a tough game. Rakow might be tough. Legia might be tough. We should be able to beat Valmiera, who are from Latvia. We should be able to beat Sheriff Timosol from Moldova. We should be able to beat Brann from Norway. So I'm hoping we should be good enough to actually get out the group stage as well. And I guess that's the next thing we are going to do. We're going to jump to the end of the season. I feel like the league is out of reach for us, but we're now focusing on the Europa League, so let's jump forward. I think we're actually still going to be in the group stage with maybe 1 or 2 games left to play, but we'll find out. Well, the Swedish league is over, and we have finished 7th place in the table. A massive, massive decline from the last couple of seasons. So if we have a look, last year we finished in 2nd on 57 points. This time 7th on 46, so 11 points less. 57 points would have only been good enough to make us finish 4th place as well. But in the Europa Conference League, yes, we are only 4 games in. There's still 2 more games to play. We are sat 6th place in the table with a goal difference of 15. We've got positive 15 goal difference. What? How? Are we just absolutely smashing people? We beat Rakow 9-0. I thought that was going to be a tough game. We beat them 9-0. It should have been 10. Ilanes missed a penalty. So I feel like, judging by those results, we're probably going through in the Europa Conference League, which I'm very happy with. I do want to have a look at the club coefficients. So 16th, we are picking up 8.5, which is an increase, which means we're going to go from 16th to, what is that, 14th? 16th to 14th. Qualification places in 14th means we get 2 teams into the Champions League qualifiers. So if we finish 2nd place next year, we might be in the Champions League. And we're going to finish off taking a look at our youth intake. So much like the last couple of seasons, it's not been very good. We've got August Forsberg, who's probably the only player worth mentioning. 16 years of age, striker with 9 finishing. He looks okay. Obviously, at 16, he's got a little bit of time to develop. We've got Charlie Hoagland, doesn't look very good. Peter Swan as well, doesn't look very good. So we're not getting the youth intakes at the moment, but I'm kind of okay with that. Once we start developing the team and developing all of that sort of the facilities and things, this should get better. Plus, our head of youth development, he's not amazing. We maybe need to get a replacement in within the next couple of years because I feel like Rikard Torstensson might have kind of reached his limit.